Hello, I'm Justin Wary, and in this video, we will be talking about how to underwrite a T12 using the MFG underwriting template. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to need to do is populate all of the information that is going to be important for this underwriting. If you double click on CD2, there's a calendar that appears in that cell. And you can double click on that cell and click on today's date. The next thing that we're going to need to do is put in the property name and address for this property. This particular property is named Mountainside Apartments, and it is in Birmingham, Alabama. So we're just going to put that in here. All right. The next thing that we want to do is we want to go to the number of units. And we want to put in how many units there are in this apartment complex. In this case, it's 196. We also want to put in the rentable square feet. Rentable square feet is 164,310. So we're going to put that here. And I'm copying and pasting, okay? You can right click on any of these cells, use cut, copy, paste special. This whole drop-down menu comes up, but I'm using the shortcuts, Control C, Control X, Control V. So you can either right click on the cell to get these to pop up, or you can go to edit and you'll have some of the same options. Let's see, price per unit. Let's just say that the seller is saying that they want to get $160,000 a door. So we're going to select $160,000. As you can see, you've got to drop down with a bunch of prices in here. The cool thing about this is you can type in over it as well. So there you go. It's 50,000. But we're going to, just for the sake of the example, say that the seller is telling us they want $160,000 per unit. Okay. That's going to give us our purchase price and price per square foot. Okay. So now that we've got all of that pertinent information in there, the next thing that we want to do is we want to go to the T12 tab inside the underwriting template. And on the T12 tab, what you'll notice is there's a few things. You have a drop-down menu with some line items here. And these line items in the T12 tab line up with the seller's income and expenses on the Property 1 tab. So that's D12 through D37 on the Property 1 tab. Everything in that drop-down list corresponds with that exactly. Now, let's go ahead and get the T12 from the seller, right? This is the seller's T12. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy everything that's in here all the way down to the NOI. And we're going to paste that into the T12 Property 1 T12 tab in the underwriting template. You'll see in D1, there's a highlighted cell that says T12 paste point. You're going to highlight that after you've copied everything from the T12, the seller's T12. Now, it's important to remember this. Let's talk about this. We only want to highlight everything from the months down to the bottom, okay? And I'll show you why here in a second. We're going to click on the T12, Property 1 T12 tab, and we're going to paste special values only. So I'm pressing Control Shift V. But we're going to paste that. That makes it so that none of the seller's formatting comes over. We don't really want that. Okay. So now that we've got that, the next thing that we need to do is we need to go to the first empty column to the right of the information that we have and highlight everything to the end of the document. I'm pressing Control Shift and right arrow to quickly highlight all of that. But we're going to hide the unused columns that we have, and then go down to the bottom and do the exact same thing. Hide the unused rows. So Control Shift down and hide all of those unused rows. Now we're only dealing with information that we can see in here. So every cell that has a number, that's what we're dealing with. We want to take this total column and we want to paste it here where it says totals in column C. So we pasted that. Now we also want to go to A where that drop-down menu is. And we're going to highlight the entire column. And then I'm going to press Control D, and that duplicates everything that's in this first cell to every cell in that column. Okay? So now we are ready to go. Let's go back to the underwriting template. Now, let's just watch what we've got going on here. What you'll notice, when we go through this is that, like I said, each of these items in these drop-down menus corresponds to what's on the Property 1 tab. So the first thing that we need to try and find is the gross scheduled rent, right? What we usually do is we'll take, I can't see the category here. The gross market rent here, and this is the loss to lease or gain to lease here. So these two will subtract 76,000 from 1.9 million, and that will give us what we're going to use as our gross scheduled rent. Okay, so we're going to put gross scheduled rent in here. And these are, you'll see that automatically sends it over to the Property 1 tab for us. We don't have to do any of that. It does it automatically for us. Next, let's go to vacancy loss. So that's obviously going to be vacancy. But one thing I want to show you is you can click on the arrow here to get to vacancy. But the other thing that you can do is just type in the letter V and vacancy will appear. And you can click on that, get it very, very quickly, very easily. Okay. Next, we have concessions, and we're going to leave these because they're blank, they're zeros. So we're not going to categorize those. Next, we have what would be considered concessions. And I think that the next three are also concessions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my mouse hover over, my cursor hover over this little blue square here until it becomes a plus. I'm going to left click and then drag it down. So you can copy that way as well. Okay. Let's see. This one's going to be other income bad, not bad debt, non-pay, but other income bad. So let's talk about that. You'll see that here under gross scheduled rents, you've got vacancy and concessions and bad debt. Then you've got the total rental income. So vacancy, concessions, and bad debt are being subtracted from the gross scheduled rent to give you the total rental income. Utility reimbursement and other income are going to be added to the total rental income to give you the effective gross income. So if we were to put this as, even though it says bad debt income, if we were to put it as bad debt, these go over to the Property 1 tab as absolute values. And so this would be, that $4,000 would be subtracted from our total here instead of added. We want to add this because it is actually income. So we're going to put this as other income, miscellaneous income bad, because it's probably has to do with bad tenant behavior. We kind of talked about that in the vocabulary video. So if you have any questions about any of the vocabulary that we're going over, go back to that video, check it out. All right. So next, this one is going to be bad debt. So we're going to put this down as bad debt. All right. Bad debt, non-pay. All right. So next, we've got, we're going to skip this net rental income because it's not going to exactly line up with what we have in the total rental income. So anyway, administrative fees, laundry fees. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this down as other miscellaneous income good. This is what I like to do for the other miscellaneous income whenever it's possible. Just put them all down as other miscellaneous income good. Then go back and categorize the ones that would be other income bad, right? That one's bad. Or I'll say cleaning fees is bad. Damages would be bad. Improper notice would be bad. Late fees would be bad. Laundry, lease termination, I'll say that's bad. Legal fees, leave that for right now. Lock, prior adjustment. All right, so now we're getting into, oh wait, I skipped one. NSF fees would be bad. Okay, so now we're getting into utility reimbursement. Reimburse electricity, reimburse trash. So we're going to put these down as utility reimbursement. And that's that. Next, we need to put down the total income. Oh, wait. That's not it. This is it. Total income. And you can see that the number that we have here in C51 matches the number that we have in D19. So D19 went from yellow to green. That means that it is within an acceptable range, right? It matches what we have on the C on the property 1 T12. So, and that's what we want. We want it to be green. Next, we need to do the last 3 months of income. So let's do the last 3 months of income. We're going to need to insert a sum right here. Okay. So let's go to the last 3 months. And there we go. The last 3 months populated right there for us. All right. Now, let's go to the expenses. So first thing that we have here is payroll. I'm going to use that little copying trick that I talked about earlier. The next thing that we have is repairs and maintenance. We're going to drag that down. Next, we have make readies. Drag that down. So yeah, turnover expense is also make ready. If you have any questions about that. Next, we have contract services. We're going to drag that down. Utilities. Okay. management fees, taxes, insurance, marketing, we've got general admin, total general administrative, general admin, and we've got our expenses right here. And you'll notice that D37 went green, went from yellow to green when we lined it up with what we have on our T12 tab. So they match. And now we're going to do the NOI. So watch the NOI, right? It matches. So what the seller has, we have represented. What the seller has on their T12, we have represented on our Property 1 tab exactly. Now, there's a few other things that we need to do before we can say we're finished. One of those is namely putting in the tax mill rate and the tax percent basis. What does that mean? So here, we've got the millage rate listed as 72.5 mils. Whenever it's listed as mils, you're going to divide by 1,000. Whenever it's listed as a percentage, you're going to divide by 100. In this case, we're going to divide by 1,000. And there we go. Now, the tax assess ratio is our tax percent basis. How much of that income is going to get taxed, right? 20%, only 20% here in Birmingham. So now that it's 20% in Birmingham, now do this. That's why it was so off. 20%. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now we've basically gotten everything exactly where it needs to be based on what the seller is saying they're getting, right? 160,000 is probably going to be a whole lot higher than they may be looking for this property. Who knows? It may not be. They may be looking for 50,000. If they're looking for 50,000, that deal looks a whole lot better to us, doesn't it? But you can play with this, manipulate it, and try and get it to be where you want it to be or where the seller needs it to be. So, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I hope that you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully it helps you out in the future. Until next time, take care.